She's a business mogul, #1 author, and wellness expert.
How can I help?
And now Chantel Ray Fitch and her amazing guests are here to guide you on your journey to health, wealth, and godly wisdom.
Time to level up.
Welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Godly Wisdom Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and I'm so excited. We have Tim James back on the show. One of my favorite guests. We just align on so many things. We both love to fast. We both love organic. We talk about ingredients matter. So we just love so many of the same things. So Tim, welcome.
Chantel, thanks for having me back on. It's been a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I want you to talk a little bit about, what kind of got us back on here was you telling me about your 8-day fast that you just did. So I want to really dive right into that and tell us all the details of it.
Well, I know you reached out. I saw that on Facebook. Like you said, you had some stuff going on, and I've been a health coach for 15 years, and my whole motto is upgrade. In fact, I changed the name of my podcast to Tim James Upgraded, because all I'm trying for 50. Once I got aware that processed foods were killing me and they caused all my gastrointestinal issues that led to rectal bleeding and led to me getting life flighted for an emergency surgery and gaining all the weight, I was able to heal all that. But it was because I stopped putting the processed foods in my body. Like you said, ingredients matter, right? So what you put in your body matters. And I've tried red lights, and I have one, and I have PMF mats, and I've done yoga, and I'm functional movement, and I have air purification, water purification. I mean, grounding sheets, getting outside, sunshine, vitamin D, supplements, detoxing, charcoal. I mean, you name it. Like, I'm always trying stuff. IV therapies. We get deep into dental, which is a whole nother show we could do. I've done all these things for 15 years in this constant search to find out what else do I not know about my body, and learn to become my own doctor so I can self-heal and not have to ever worry about getting sick again, because it was a scary time in my life.
Yeah.
And what I found out, and I've done juice cleanses and juice feasting, because when you're consuming juices, you're not fasting. Because you're consuming actually more nutrition if you do it right. It's just in juice form, because normally your mouth is the juicer, and you swallow the juice and the fiber. But with juice, you're just flooding your body with tons of nutrients. So I've done all greens juice for 40 days in water. That's it. I've done that. I've done water fasting 9 days. And I just recently did a 5-day, and then I've done an 8-day and another 5 days. So I've done like a 1 or 2 day dry fast. This is where you don't eat any food, you don't drink any water, you don't drink nothing. And when people first hear about that, you'll see stuff on the internet that's like, well, a 1-day dry fast is equivalent to a 3-day water fast. And that's what kind of hooked me years ago. But I never did more than a 1 or 2 day. My webmaster called me up last year, and he's like, hey, did you know that you can actually release millions of your own stem cells on day 4 and 5 on a dry fast? And I'm like, dude, you had me at stem cells. Like, I will do anything for free stem cells. And so that's what got me into doing the dry fasting again, and then extending it.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the dry fast. If obviously, like, you've done so many fasts, I've done so many fasts. The one thing that I have never done, actually, I've done same thing as you. I've done a 7-day fast. I've done a 21-day fast. I did a juice fast. I did a smoothie fast. I mean, you name it, I've done it as far as a fast goes. But the one thing I've never done is a dry fast, ever. And so I want you to talk about kind of what you saw in your body that was different from a dry fast versus just a water fast.
Okay. Yeah. And I have an ebook on water fasting too. I still am a proponent of it. So what I'm going to put the bow on what I was saying earlier, because I forgot, which is that of all the things that I've tried, I've never found anything more powerful, period, end of story, to reset and revitalize the body and heal and boost energy levels and rapid weight loss and massive stem cells than doing a dry fast. There's nothing on this planet that's more powerful. And then I sat back and I'm like, of course, it's built into our system. It's God's plan. And it's free, Chantel. That's the most beautiful part about it. I know that most people, and there's billions of people, there's billions that live on $2 a day. They're never going to be able to afford a bag of our organic green juice. It's about a month's pay for them, but they can do dry fasting. And so what is so cool about it is that, and first off, I have to preface this is like, if this is new, usually the first thing people saying, well, I could never do that, or you're going to die without water in 3 days, and you'll die without food after a while. It's like, okay, have you ever done a dry fast? So how can you make these comments just because where did you pick up these belief systems? I know because I had this stuff, because usually it's fear. We operate our lives out of fear. And I've learned that wherever fear is, when you go into that fear, all you're going to discover is just more of yourself. And we're picking up other people's belief systems. So all I'm saying is please have an open mind and let me kind of unravel this and tell you what I experienced. So the first thing is, if you're brand new, I recommend going right into a dry fast. If you've never fasted before at all and you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, then you'd probably want to just replace breakfast with like a concentrated green juice. That would be step one, right? And then maybe you get to a point where you do all, waters and caffeine-free teas and green juices and stuff like that over a 1-day period, right? We usually also teach people intermittent fasting, which you said you're big on and you've been teaching people. So you actually eat within a window. Now instead of, you eat between like noon and 6 or 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. and something like that. And people have massive results with this. They have massive results. And then after they've done, intermittent fasting, and then maybe a 1-day juice fast, then maybe do a 2 or 3-day juice fast, or a 4 or 5. Then after a while, then maybe they're ready for a 1-day water fast. They work their way up to a 3 or a 5 or a 7 or a 9 or whatever. And then finally, they're ready for this thing called the dry fast. And now knowing what I've been through and what I've seen, I won't do a water fast anymore. There's no point in it for me. And here's why. Number one, what I found out was that when you're doing a dry fast, I don't get as hungry, number one. So that's nicer, okay? You do get thirsty, but you're not hungry. And number two, there's a certain hormone that gets secreted that blocks the protein, your muscle, from getting eaten, right? If you do a water fast, you can avoid a lot of that too, but you have to stay very sedentary. No exercise. You're resting. You're in a healing mode. If you use your body too much, then you're gonna eat up your muscle. The beautiful thing about a dry fast, I think you should take it easy too. Some people don't have to because they just have, we just had a dry fasting group where we had like 15, 20 people in there. There was a couple people that were kind of weird. They were able to just function normally. They slept normally, but a lot of us were struggling, right? And so this hormone gets secreted, and then when you rehydrate, you don't have no muscle loss. So I like that. No hunger, really, and no muscle loss. The other thing that I like about a dry fast is that you are going to the deepest levels of autophagy possible. I mean, we're talking like super deep. And you can look this up. It's called a GKI index. I don't know if I have screen share capabilities, but I could try.
You can.
I think. Yeah. Okay, so check this out. So if we just go down here, I'll just grab one. So what is it? Glucose ketone index. So basically, when you're doing this type of fasting, what's happening is you're going to be burning through your glucose, which is your sugar, and that's going to be pretty much burned through and gone out of the liver, out of the muscles by about day 3. Okay. There's this thing called the GKI index. Okay. And what it means is that if this index, this is your glucose and your ketones, if you're over a 9, you're not in ketosis. Okay. So ketosis is when you're burning fat and you're producing ketones as a fuel to run your brain and run your body. And it's one of the primary fuels. You've got 2 of them. You've got glucose, you eat food, it turns into glucose, and you burn that, or you burn fat and you release ketones and you burn that. So those are your 2 fuel sources. Problem is that in the United States, people breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they never get into that secondary, or that it's the second primary fuel source, which is these fat burning and ketones. What comes along with that is the deepest levels of healing that you don't get when you're just running on glucose. If the GKI index is between a 6 and a 9, you're now in a low level of ketosis, which is ideal for weight loss and health maintenance. Okay, this is going to happen day 1 on a dry fast. You're going to slip right into this zone, and so you're getting benefit there. Now, then you go from a 3 to a 6, you're in a moderate level of ketosis. For those with type 2 diabetes and obesity, insulin resistance, metabolic or endocrine disorders. Well, that's some pretty heavy lifting right there. These are some big major problems that people face, right? Then you get to this 1 to 3 range on this GKI index, this glucose ketone index, and you're in a high therapeutic level of ketosis. For using keto therapeutically for the treatment of disease such as cancer, epilepsy, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, traumatic brain injuries, these TBIs, and chronic inflammatory disease. We're talking massive stuff. And then if you're under a 1, you're in the highest therapeutic level of ketosis, very difficult to achieve without a doctor's supervision. I just did a 5-day recently. I was a 7.1 on day 1, so I was in a low level. On day 2, I was a 3.0, so I was right between the high and the moderate level. And then on day 3, I was a 1.3. Day 4, 1.0, and then I was a 1.06. So by day 4, I was in the highest therapeutic levels of ketosis that is very difficult to achieve without a doctor's supervision. That's even far beyond the high therapeutic level, which they're using for the treatment of diseases such as cancer and epilepsy and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all this other stuff. So that just gives you an example. And this is not something new. Everybody listening, you've been doing a dry fast every day of your life. It's called sleep. You go to bed and you're not eating or drinking at night. When do we get all the healing? When do you heal? Like when you get sick, what happens? Your body stops you from eating and it makes you go to bed. And that's where all the healing happens. When you have that deep, restive, restorative sleep, you heal at night. All we're talking about is extending it. There's Russian doctors like Dr. Flonov and Shelenkov that have been studying this stuff for 40 years, 15,000 patients on clinical trials they've been running, and they've been using dry fasting to heal some of these chronic diseases and stuff like cancer, right? So this is nothing new. It's highly studied, and it's just different, and it's scary in the beginning because people don't know, because they're like, well, I'm going to die without water in 3 days, because they're going to see that. Well, I'm like, really? Did you know that you actually make your own water? It's called metabolic water. It's called or endogenous water from within. Just like a camel, we've heard about camels, how they have the ability to go out in the desert, and if there's no food or water, they can live for a long time. Well, how do they do it? They have a big hump of fat on their back, or 2 humps of fat. They slip into ketosis. They start burning fat as energy, and when they're cleaving down those fat into triglycerides and glycerin, it's also breaking down into something called hydrogen. And in the cell mitochondria, the hydrogen is mixed with the oxygen from the air they breathe, and inside the cell, water is made. So we actually make our own water. And I actually have pictures. I peed in mason jars every day during my 8-day fast, and I'm peeing water out every day. Well, where's it coming from? It's coming from the oxygen that I'm breathing in and the fat that I'm burning that's breaking down into hydrogen. And I'm making my own water. There's a little...
Oh my gosh, that would be such a good video. Oh my gosh.
It's kind of cool. There's a kangaroo rat, and most people actually don't know this, but up to 10% of your water that your body uses just on the regular daily, even when you're eating and doing glucose and stuff like that, you are still you're making your own endogenous water every single day. We make a little bit every day, so it's not something you're just making more of it. And I'm just pulling this up here because I've got here it is right here. I'll just show you this picture. That's my urine in jars.
Wow.
Right. You see it?
Yeah, but look at the color.
Yeah. So,
I mean, is it the lighting, or what color is that urine? Is it just maybe the camera?
It's kind of it's dark. It's like a dark amber. It's a dark amber color.
Amber color.
Yeah, and you're cleaning up so much stuff. I mean, you take cells, and just to finish up on the water, there's something called a kangaroo rat. They don't drink water. They pretty much live in the desert, and they just live off of their own water they make inside of themselves. Bears do this when they hibernate. We never thought about this before. It's like, what does a bear do? They sleep for like months. Well, they're not eating anything because we know they ate a bunch of berries and salmon and a bunch of stuff, and they went and dug a hole in the side of a mountain, and they slept. But they weren't drinking water either. Where did they get their water for 4 or 5 months? Oh, they made their own water. Human beings have the ability to make our own water, and this is the best water on the planet. Here's the other cool thing. How many people today are having issues with yeast infections? Candida albicans is an example. Mold. 9 out of 10 homes have mold in them. Fungus, mutagens, cancers, parasites. the cool thing is these harmful organisms, like the bacteria, the mold, the yeast, and the fungus, and the parasites, within 5 days, they're dead. Why? Because they need you to drink water to survive. They can't get it anywhere else. They can't make their own endogenous or metabolic water. You can. So you actually make this water inside of your cells. You've got water for your processes to keep you alive, but the parasites, the moldy yeast, and the fungus die. It's the like, think about that, like just dead. And then the other cool thing is a lot of people have poor quality fats, or the fats have been cooked so that the lipid membrane or the fat membrane around their cell is screwed up. They have a hard time with absorption issues. The cells are dehydrated. So if you're actually making water inside of your cell and the cells have a hard time getting water in, now the water's already inside of it and it starts pushing toxins literally out of the cell into the extracellular matrix to be then whisked away through the lymphatic system and the bowels. Perspiration.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me that and I'm literally, when I get off this call, I'm literally going to start. You've motivated me. I'm doing a dry fast immediately.
Well, it gets better. It's going to get better, but go ahead.
Well, I think people need to understand the accelerated autophagy that happens and the cellular cleanup that happens. The body has no external water, so it breaks down those damaged cells faster. And like you said, that fat, you're converting your fat into metabolic water. That fat oxidation produces water. So anyone who's even, and I'm not going to do it for fat loss, but the body has to burn fat to create internal water. The fat is going to literally go, and it's literally like 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent. Some people say 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent to 2 days of water fasting. Some people say 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent to 3 days of water fasting. Which would you say? Do you think it's more like 1 day of dry fasting?
I don't know at this point. All I know is that it's the healing is faster, it's deeper, and you can measure this with a GKI index. You can just simply do a water fast for 5 days or 7 days, and then, wait a little bit, and then do a dry fast, and then measure your GKI index. The numbers will tell the whole story, which one's going deeper, because the lower the number, the higher the level of therapeutic ketosis you're in.
Yeah. And for me, I'm doing it for the inflammation and the immune system stress adaptation, because doing that, I really need to reduce joint pain, and reducing that water retention, I think, can really help with the inflammatory fluid buildup as well, because around your joints, sometimes, because of joint pain, there is fluid that builds up. And when you do a dry fast, that fluid can, help you with reduced joint pain, and your immune system can really improve.
When I got done, like in the last two that I've done, I've noticed like I felt my joints were just like certain exercises and stuff that I do where there was a little bit of pain on my knee or something like that, or an ankle or a neck, just gone. In fact, I have a bodywork specialist that used to work on the Olympic team. We're very lucky in our small little town here. I'm like, why did you move here? And he's like, I go, you could go anywhere you want. He's like, quality of life. He wanted to live in a small town. So one of the top 3 best bodywork specialists I've ever had in my life. And I've had lots of people touch me and work on that area. And when he works on me, it's very painful. It's very painful. And I was like, is there some way you could work on me so it doesn't hurt so damn much? Because I always get excited about going to him, but then I forget how much pain it is when he's working on me, because a third to a half of it's sometimes I want to jump off that table. Well, after I did that 8-day dry fast, he was working on me, and then halfway through, I realized like I didn't feel nothing. And I was like, John, are you pushing as hard? Are you he's like, yes, Tim, I'm doing the same as I normally do. And I'm like, well, what are you experiencing? He goes, your tissues is like a 15-year-old. This is ridiculous. He's like, it's unbelievable. I can't believe.
That's funny that you say that, because when we were at the gym, we had a personal trainer, and I brought my son, and he's 14, and his exact quote, he said something to him. He's like, well, you're only 14. He said, your joints are like rubber bands at 14. And so that's kind of an example of like, you probably got your muscles and your joints now felt like more like a 14-year-old just from doing that joint.
Yeah. And I had no inflammation. I had literally no pain with him working on me. Like zip. It was unbelievable. And so there's that. I also want to point out this deep level of autophagy. So what happens is that we have cells that, with all the pollution today and the stress that we're dealing with and processed foods and all this stuff, we are dealing with cells that mutate. And then they start copying themselves, and then they're called senescent cells. They're just not working properly, okay? When you do a dry fast, the body's looking for two things. It's looking for food, and it's looking for water. And it's going to find it anywhere it can. So it's going to look at, what is it going to take to keep Chantel alive? Well, it doesn't need these rogue senescent cells. They're not required for existence because it's kind of a messed up cell. So it's just going to eat that cell and take the food and the water from it and recycle it up. And so but it also happens on the stem cell level. Even our stem cells get messed up and some of them become senescent. So it'll clean those up too. Now, this is where the magic starts. On day 4 of the dry fast, your body starts releasing millions and millions of your own stem cells. It's a survival response. If you were in a tragic car accident, it was really bad, and you were all messed up in your hospital, your body from your bones, especially your leg bones, is going to flood your entire system with stem cells. These are baby cells that can become anything, and they're going to go to work to heal your body and try to save your life. When you do an extended dry fast, it's like creating a crisis without a crisis. And so your body floods millions of your own stem cells, not stem cells from an umbilical cord, from somebody with different cell structure in you, not from, aborted fetuses, which is highly controversial. We're talking about your own stem cells that are matched perfectly with your body. Millions of them. Your intestinal lining gets new stem cells. That's why when you start refeeding on a dry fast, you do no sugar for at least 3 days, because you don't want to get them trained on sugar, right? You have new skin. All your skin's got new stem cells, your entire skin and your entire body. That's why you're not supposed to get out in the sun very much, very little sun for 30 days after an extended dry fast, because you don't want to damage these baby cells. Your whole body is flooded. Your joints are flooded. Anywhere where you have injuries, what'll start happening is if you had an old elbow injury from volleyball or something, or football, knee injury, or basketball or something, that will start aching actually during the dry fast for an hour or 2 or 3, and then it will kind of go away. It's healing. It's unbelievable. So I don't even think you could pay it, but a lot of people are paying $25,000 to $50,000, $5,000 for stem cell treatments. You got to go to a clinic. You got to check in. You got to fill out the paperwork. You got to pay the money. You got to get poked. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then you got to go back every 6 months, and it does work. But this is your own stuff. This is like $1 million stem cell treatment. And again, it's free. So $1 million of stem cells. You kill harmful organisms like parasites and yeast. You push extracellular waste out of the cells from inside. You make your own water. The deepest levels of autophagy. You have everything's renewed. It reduces joint pain, inflammation, all this other stuff. And the other thing is you start looking differently at life. You actually start having breakthroughs, and you realize that everybody's connected, and that nature is the solution, and that you were eating way more food than you needed to. And the other thing is your taste buds will completely radically change. Foods that you knew were probably not that good for you, a lot of them you just won't want them anymore. Literally that fast. And for people that are looking for rapid weight loss, I don't know anything. 7-day dry fast, you're going to lose about 15 to 18 pounds of fat in 7 days. It's rapid.
Have you ever asked, God, are you speaking? God, are you speaking?
What on earth am I here for?
In a world full of noise, opinions, and distractions, He's been trying to reach you. In Tune In, God's Voice, Your Purpose, it answers these questions. Hear God, find freedom, discover your purpose, make a difference. You'll finally learn how to know the difference between God's whisper and your own inner noise, how to reinvent yourself with every new season, and how to answer the question every person asks at some point. What on earth am I here for? What on earth am I here for? If you're ready for clarity, direction, and breakthrough, this book is your guide. Quiet the chaos. Hear Him clearly. Step boldly into your calling. Tune in. God's Voice, Your Purpose.
Let's switch gears and just talk about water. We just talked about not having any water, but now let's say we're done with our dry fast and we really want to get our water clean in our house. And one of the things that I've been hearing from friends and some different listeners, they've been reaching out, and one girl, she wrote in and she said she's so frustrated. She just spent $3,000 on a whole house water filter. And then she ended up getting someone else because she had another friend that was saying, let's check your water. And she tested the water and it wasn't good. So I feel like people are kind of like, they don't know what to believe about kind of their water and they're getting frustrated. Talk about how important the water is. What are your solutions for getting the cleanest water at your house?
Okay. Well, I think I've got at least half of that equation solved now. And it's a whole, so the first thing is that what kind of water do we want? We want clean water in nature. That's what we want. The natural structure in nature. So if we're actually looking at the structure of the water, it's at a bond angle in nature at 120 degrees. It's hexagonal. It's a sacred geometry, right? But a lot of the water that's been manipulated by man through pipes and pressure is at 105.4 degree bond angle. Well, I had no idea this even existed a couple years ago. And I've been at this for 15 years, right? Well, it doesn't absorb well. It just doesn't work well because it's not natural. It's like getting somebody else's stem cells. It might work a little bit, but it's not going to work like it would if it was your own, right? The water's not going to work unless it's the structured like you. Now, there's actually 4 phases of water. There's liquid, like pour water, drink it. There's steam, gas. There's solid, ice. But there's actually a 4th phase. It's called a gel-like state. It's also called the exclusion zone or EZ zone. E for exclusion, Z for zone. This is, Victor Schallenberger's work. More recently, Dr. Jared Pollack out of Washington State University, they've discovered this exclusion zone, which is actually lining all of your arteries, veins, and capillaries, and actually pushing most of the blood through your system, not the heart. It's a huge topic to get into. But the bottom line is that all the water in vegetables and you is structured. All the water in vegetables and you is structured. That's why when people go, like when I went to Hippocrates and places like this, why they're having so much success is because they're making you drink all this green juice. What's the greens made out of? It's made out of vegetation. What kind of water is inside this vegetation? It's structured. It's this exclusion zone. It's this water that's like it's gel-like state. And so you're flooding the body with water that's highly absorbable. It's highly usable by the cell mitochondria. And then, of course, you're getting nutrients and stuff with those green juices as well. So that's the first thing is you want to make sure that your water is clean, so purified water, and structured. So if you wanted to have the best water for drinking, then you would want to have a distillation unit because that repeats what actually happens in nature because air evaporates, right? And then it condenses in the clouds and then it rains. So you would do that process. That would be for drinking. Now, I know a lot of people are going to go, but that takes the minerals out. That's a huge thing. Well, I actually have friends of mine that have been drinking distilled water for 40 years. They've had 4 kids. Their kids are having kids. And they're the healthiest people I've ever seen in my life. That's one case. I've got another doctor, like Dr. Ed Group. He's got a whole paper on this disputing all of that. The bottom line is that we need clean water. So the best water would be water that would be in this polluted world we live in today would be for drinking would be distilled water that's now run through a structuring device. Okay. If you don't have the money for that, then I would probably get on the cheap, I would get at least a gravity fed system like a Berkey, right? And at least run the water.
Let's go back. Let's go back for a second because one of the things that I hear people, we get questions all the time. And if you ever want one of your questions answered, just go to questions@chantelrayway.com. We try to answer them. One of the questions we've been getting a lot of is people saying, I'm drinking so much water, but I'm constantly dehydrated. They always just feel dehydrated all the time, even though they're drinking all this water. Do you get that from people?
Yeah. And it's because their water sucks. And again, it's probably not structured, right? And they have absorption issues because, like I said, they have poor lipid membranes because they have poor quality fats. The fats they are consuming have been cooked. Many of those fats turn into what are called lipid peroxides that are known cancer causers. So you got to clean up the system. You got to get the cells hydrated, but you have to drink water that's structured. And an easy way to do this, if you don't have access, I mean, we can't even keep our structuring devices in stock. They're all handmade. We're one of 2 companies in the world that actually has lab certified structured water devices. We have whole house units, garden units, and handhelds. I think the only thing we have in stock right now are the 3/4 inch whole house. This is for 1 bathroom, 2 people or less. We just had the handhelds come in 3 days ago and they're all sold out again. Right. And we have another shipment coming in next week. There's a wait list on there if people want it. But if you want to get cheap structured water, you can actually just throw some chia seeds in your water. And the chia seeds will structure the water in that gel-like state. You can also soak flax seeds in water. Do 1 part flax to 4 to 5 parts water. Stir it up. Let it set for 8 hours. Then stir it up again. And then let it settle. And then pour off that mucilaginous gel-like water. It's great for gastrointestinal healing. We get all of our clients on it. I actually have it in an ebook called the 4 Core Secrets, and we put the flaxseed water recipe in there. I learned this actually from a colon hydrotherapist that healed herself of some severe gut issues, and then she started doing colon hydrotherapy, and she said it's one of the most amazing things is flax water. But it also makes structured water. So on the cheap, you can make flax water, you can do chia seeds to your water, and you can get it that way. You can do green juices if you're juicing your own vegetables. Or you can just get a structured water device, a handheld for travel or home on the cheap. Or if you have the money, then you can get a whole house unit to structure your water.
So, well, let's talk about the distilled water again, because obviously distilled water is H2O only. There's no sodium, potassium, magnesium, or calcium. And so if you drink it regularly and you're not getting your minerals, you could get headaches, fatigue, muscle cramps, dizziness. So you have to have a way to remineralize your or get the sodium, potassium,
that's one of the
calcium,
things where people,
right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that was the second part of that question you asked is like, how do people that can't get water, they drink a lot, but they're not getting, it doesn't feel like they're getting it. They just drink it and they pee it out, right? They don't feel hydrated. The second part is that mineral component that you brought up, right? So yeah, when you purify your water with distillation, you are taking everything out, but you can get your minerals elsewhere. You could also put minerals back into the water and get some mineral drops and drink it that way, or get your minerals from your juice. Like when I make it here, I said leftovers of my green juice. I actually put a fulvic humic in here, and I eat tons of salt. I mean, I eat a lot of salt. I have good, high quality salt. So people think salt's bad. It's not. When you go to, if an ambulance shows up at your place, every single time when they're taking people to the hospital, what are they pumping into you? Saline. They're putting salt in you. And then a lot of times people just come back to life. Why? Because we know that people are low on salt because they're telling people salt's bad for you. That is the biggest BS lie. What's bad for you is bad salt. Salt that's been processed and it's processed all the minerals and stuff out of it. So I use like Baja Gold salt, Redmond salt, some high quality salts, and I eat a lot of salt.
So just clarify for me for the things that you have on your website that you were telling people that they can buy. That, what I'm hearing you say, will automatically structure their water with those tools if they install them. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And we're lab certified. In fact, there's so much crap out there that we actually put on there. Click here to see our lab certification, and then click here to contact the lab to verify that we're certified. Because there's other people out there trying to tell people about structured water because it's kind of the new thing now. It's kind of people are starting to get educated on it. And so a lot of companies are popping up out of Alibaba and wrapping it in a nice label and selling you these structuring devices. So you want to make sure you get one that works and not waste your money on something that's not working.
Well, you know what I love about you? And every time I talk to you, I love the title that you just decided to change it to say Tim James Upgraded, because, obviously I've done 600 episodes with the top doctors in the world on my podcast. So a lot of times I've just, so a lot of times people come on the show and I'm like, I already know that. And I just feel like with you, Tim, you really do just upgrade. Every time I talk to you, I do feel upgraded. And I just really feel like, you're just next level. And I just love hanging out and spending time with people who just always like, let's upgrade. Cause that's me too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like not feeling at my optimal. And just you reaching out when I did that post, I'm not at my optimal right now, and I've got to get back to that place where I'm the upgraded Chantel, you know? And so I just appreciate your love and your care and just everything that you do for people. And you just are very special to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you very
for
much.
being
And I
on
hope
the
that
podcast.
I wanted to just chat with you. I didn't want to get back on the show, but this is awesome. That wasn't my intent at all. But if you have some time, let's
Yeah,
chat,
we'll
because I
chat. We'll
I
chat.
have questions for you. I know the dry fast is going to help, but I'd like to see what else is going on. I have some
Yeah,
questions
I
for
would
you.
love to. Well, we have a special coupon code. It's Chantel Ray. So if you go to chemicalfreebody.com, you can use the coupon code Chantel Ray. So tell people how they can kind of get some of these amazing, and maybe talk about just a couple of your favorite products that you have on your site and
Sure.
that you love.
Yeah, just to wrap up, like our number one selling product is, we have a product called Green 85 Juice Formula. It's basically, we're going to be changing the name. It's going to be called Organic Energy Juice, because it's equivalent to about 90 to 150 pounds of vegetable nutrition per bag. Think about that. That little bag, this little bag right here, is about 90 to 150 pounds of vegetable nutrients in it. So you're getting about 3 to 5 pounds per serving. And now with this new apple flavor, it tastes delicious. I have what's called an inner circle. I've been coaching this for over 7 years now. And every Wednesday we meet and people talk. And when I interview the people in our inner circle, I say, what was the one thing that you did that transformed your health? And 90% of the time they were like, dude, it was drinking those 2 green juices a day. And why? Because most people are dehydrated. And by drinking 2 green juices a day, you're adding more what? Water to your system that you weren't getting. And you're flooding your body with nutrients. So it cuts the amount of food you eat in half. And then especially for dinner, when you do it that second time, you get that second energy with no crash. You cut your dinner in half, and then you're going to get into REM sleep much faster because you have less food to process. You start sleeping better. You get out of shallow sleep syndrome. This is where you sleep 8 hours, but you wake up tired. That starts going away. You start healing better. The energy comes back. You start pooping better, digestion. You get a flat belly, joints, weight loss, and people that want to gain muscle on it. So that's the one thing that I would say is do that, is get on that. And we have bundles. If you want to check out the bundle specials, those are also discounted. So if you go to a bundle, if you say, hey, I want to get the greens, but I want to do more, I really want to do a cleanup, you can read through the bundles. They're discounted. Put the code Chantel Ray in, you get a double discount. And we have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products. And then they can read all about the Water Hero structured water systems there as well.
Well, thank you for changing lives with your message. You are making huge impacts. So thank you for being on here. And you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up shortly. So thank you so much for being here, Tim. It truly means more than you know. You are one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I am cheersing to your health as well.
Look forward to chatting with you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you guys, and have a great one. Bye-bye for now.